Good afternoon, faculty, administrators, beloved family and friends, and my fellow graduates. Welcome to one of the last speakers you will ever have to sit through. I'll try to be clear and concise, but if I'm not, this will only be about 6 minutes long and none of it is on the NBCOT. I am deeply honored to have been chosen by my classmates to speak today, and I'd like to use this opportunity to talk about hope and perspective and the importance of always having sources for both. In the early part of 2012, one of my children went through a difficult time and my family kind of fell apart. During those months, I sought out friends and family members, doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers, educators. Each one had something to contribute to our journey, but we were still lost. And then I found us a medicine man. You wouldn't have known he was a medicine man, really. He was kind of ordinary looking. He wore khakis and button-down shirts that always needed ironing. He had a wife and kids and a big fat cat, and he used his cell phone and not smoke signals, at least not that I ever saw. By day, he worked in county mental health services, but by night, he communed with a great spirit around his backyard fire pit. In his service to us, he combined his conventional education in mental health with his alternative training in matters of the spirit. He brought a fresh perspective to our situation, and only then did we find ourselves finally on the road to recovery. What I took from that experience, and what I'd like to offer you today, is not the idea that you need to find a medicine man, although I do recommend it, but the idea that a fresh perspective, no matter where it comes from, can be life-changing. As the next crop of occupational therapists, we have an obligation to keep learning, to adapt to the emerging skills and needs of ourselves and of our clients, and to strive to offer that life-changing perspective to those who need it most. Thankfully, our class has been well prepared to meet this challenge by our experience at VCU. We've been guided by a brilliant and dedicated faculty, by a parade of guest speakers, practicing OTs who have given generously of their time and talent. And a huge part of my preparation has come from knowing all of you for the past 2 years, 6 months, and 26 days, and from the fresh perspective that you have brought into my life. Parents, professors, friends, and families, you may find this hard to believe, but I'm not a millennial. I mean, I only missed it by like 11 years or 15 or 30, depending on your source, but anyway. When I first met my classmates, I really wasn't sure what to expect or whether the negative stereotypes I heard about millennials would hold up. Lazy, self-absorbed, entitled, the selfie generation. Well, I don't know who came up with that stuff. It couldn't be further from the truth. Well, I mean, except for the selfie thing. That's true. To a person, these individuals are responsible, motivated, hardworking, and incredibly service-minded. These are people who grew up with community service not just as an idea or occasional school assignment, but as an ongoing reality, a way of life. And I saw the influence of that upbringing in the work and volunteer activities that so many of my classmates engaged in, even during this very challenging program. When we studied transfers, that's when you help someone move from, say, their wheelchair to their bed. One of our classmates told us that she'd learned the skill while working in an assisted living facility. Some of the larger men had doubted that she'd be able to help move them, but she had used the proper techniques and she'd had no problem. She told the story casually, but I didn't hear it casually because Maggie is about this big. Another classmate worked at a rehab clinic helping people recover from strokes. She was so highly regarded by the patients there that one of them even agreed to come to class with her so the rest of us could observe the language deficits that his stroke had left him with. Each of my classmates has something special to offer. One was a special ed teacher for years before starting OT school. Another worked with survivors of traumatic brain injury. Another worked in an outpatient pediatric clinic. And then even while in school, they sang Christmas carols at nursing homes, they coached adaptive sports programs, they assembled special bikes for veterans and for children with disabilities, they led dancers with special needs, and so much more. They've changed my perspective completely on what really matters in life and on what is possible to accomplish. And they fill me with hope for our collective future. Hope. Whether you're learning how to talk again after a stroke or just putting your family back together again after a rough time, with hope, anything is possible. My classmates are superheroes in a way to me. They have the ability to shapeshift gloom and despair into fresh perspective and hope. They've certainly done so for me. And after these past 2.5 years, they have a whole arsenal of tools with which to help others. I couldn't be more honored to have been their classmate and to soon be their colleague. This is a gait belt. We use these to help with those transfers I mentioned earlier. Used properly, a gait belt helps prevent falls for the patient and back injury for the therapist. It allows the client to safely do as much of the movement as possible while being physically supported as necessary. But it isn't magic, it's just a belt. What makes it work is the person on the other end. Friends, family, and faculty, you are looking at the graduates of the 2016 MSOT program, the people who will soon be on the other side of that belt. They're wise, strong, compassionate, and dedicated, and they've received a top-notch education in being an OT. But their true specialty? Bringing hope and fresh perspective to everyone around them.